Hiya, loves. Welcome back to the Gaily Digest. I am Nigel.
And I am now a traumatized Joshua.
I love doing these little different intros just to catch you out and see your reactions to each one that I do. How are you? You okay?
My ears are ringing now. You just did that into my headphones.
You are very, very welcome. So we are back this week, and we have got another packed show for you. We've got our usual news roundup. We talk topical stuff in conversation. Josh is his usual moany old bitchy self in the complaints closet, and that's pretty much our lineup today. So have you been up to much lately, Josh?
Just uni work, driving, learning to drive, the usual.
Is it going all right?
Well, I haven't hit anybody yet.
That's usually a good sign.
See, there you go. Flawless.
Sorry, I'm just enjoying my new hot chocolate because I recently purchased a new velvetizer from Hotel Chocolat.
This isn't an ad.
I know it's not an ad, but I just had to explain myself because I was taking a sip just as you went quiet. But it is very nice. It is very good. I'm not sort of pushing it here, and this is not an ad.
But if
But
they want to sponsor us,
give us free velvetizer chocolate, it'd be great. It'd be great. But yes, without further ado, let's crack on with the show. Welcome to the news. We are going to be bringing you some news today around Hong Kong lawmakers, around same-sex couples and equal rights. Something that's come to my attention, I think it was posted yesterday. Lawmakers in Hong Kong have rejected a controversial bill that would have granted limited rights to same-sex couples, which is a bit of a blow to the city's gay rights movement. The law, which would have recognised some rights for couples who were married overseas, was opposed by 71 of the city's 89-member Legislative Council. It was proposed by the government to comply with a 2023 court ruling following the rejection of an attempt to legalise same-sex marriage. While the city has in recent years been perceived as becoming gay-friendly, it has limited rights for the estimated 6% of the adult population who identify as LGBTQ. Recent polls suggest that there is a rising support towards the community. Human rights group Amnesty International criticised the rejection of the bill, saying that it showed an alarming disdain for LGBTQ rights and urged Hong Kong authorities to introduce a new and revised bill. And Hong Kong LGBTQ rights activist Jimmy Sham said it was deeply regrettable that the bill did not pass and that the government's inability to protect same-sex couples' rights would remain an open wound. So it just goes to show, doesn't it, Josh, that we are still seeing rights for same-sex couples or same-sex relationships being hindered or being attacked.
yeah, there's never any substance to the reasoning why, other than religion. That seems to be, again, another thing that's holding a country back from moving forward, as I always say. But
I will say though that there is nothing mentioned here about religion, but
it's well, my
I'm just
opinion
I'm
is
gonna
my
put I'm
opinion
gonna
is
put
going
that
to
out there.
be my opinion is going to be that that is the basis on what it is, because I don't see any other reason why you would be against. Did you say 6% of the population?
Yeah, it's an
So
estimated 6% of the adult population.
so it's 6% of your population. It's really not going to affect you in any way, is it? So I don't see the issue. And I believe they did a poll with the public a few years ago, and it was like 60% of them were in favor of
Mm.
same-sex marriage and things. So clearly the majority is in favor of equal rights. But again, you're at the mercy of the limited number of people in power and
Mm.
whatever's influencing their decisions.
But it goes to show, doesn't it? And I know we talk about this a fair bit on the pod about pride, but it just goes to show how important pride still is over across the world, not just in the UK, not just in our country, but in all the different countries across the world, because pride isn't just about supporting LGBT rights in our own country. It's about showing solidarity with those in other countries as well.
Yeah, and I think that whenever we fight for our rights, even when we get the rights, we're kind of always on a never-ending battle to keep them, because when you look at America, which we've discussed before, they're trying to roll back and strip people of their marriages that they legally had, and we're just at this point now where the governments are shifting so far to the right all over the world, that any day now they could just take away rights of ours just based on the leaders' decisions.
I think it all boils down to the arguments around free speech, isn't it? As well, because a lot of these political leaders tend to go down the route of it's an attack on free speech. We can't say what we want. We can't do what we want, because there are protected rights in place to protect people like us from discrimination. And it's almost like people want the right to be able to discriminate without being facing consequences for their actions. And they use the argument of free speech is under attack. Well, free speech isn't under attack. Free speech it comes with responsibility. And with that responsibility, you have a responsibility not to diminish other people's lives or their mental well-being because you want to be abusive to them and you want to discriminate against them and make their lives hell. They don't make your lives hell. How do they make your lives hell? By existing? Well, that's a you problem. That's not anyone else's problem, is it?
Exactly. They just want an excuse to sling racial slurs and transphobic and homophobic slurs. They just want to be able to say whatever they want. But the thing is, with these people, if you just call them an idiot, they go off. They turn purple. They're so angry, and I'm like, you just said free speech. I can call you an idiot. But these people that are so adamant about free speech, you only have to call them one tiny little insult and they just absolutely melt down, get angry and livid. And I'm like, but you said free speech. It's not free speech. It's that they just want to be able to say slurs and call people really disgusting names and get away with it. That's what they mean. They don't actually want free speech for everybody. They want free speech for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's free speech until it's something that they don't like to hear, ultimately. But you're right. They do lose their shit a bit, and they go purple in the face, red in the face, orange in the face, whatever, and yeah, then they start coming, oh, so much for the tolerant left and stuff like that. No, it's just sometimes we've just had enough, and you just need to hear the truth. Should we have another chat, Josh?
Go on then. I'm ready. I've got a drink.
Is it
not
gin?
an alcoholic drink?
I was going to say it's only 10:30 in the morning. So this week it's quite topical. What we're going to be talking about, and that is the shooting of Charlie Kirk. I say it's quite topical, and it's definitely relevant to what we talk about on the pod, because as we've mentioned in the news, we've obviously digressed onto free speech, and Charlie Kirk has been someone that has been about free speech, but unfortunately he's done so in an extremely negative way, by sharing bigoted discriminatory views and comments. Now, Charlie Kirk was shot this week. I'd go so far as to say assassinated, because essentially that's what it was. He shared some absolutely horrific views around LGBTQ people, around our rights, and I'm pretty sure he even commented or implied or suggested that LGBTQ people should be stoned to death. Am I right, Josh?
Yes, I would say that he's a fundamentalist. So he believes the Bible is literally what happened, and he follows it literally.
Mm.
So when it says stone gay people, that's what he believes.
Does it actually say it in there?
Well, I can't say I've ever actually read the Bible, to be honest. But
I've not added it to my nighttime reading.
he was definitely a fundamentalist, where he believes the Bible was the truth, and no ifs or buts. It's the truth. And I think we can say that the negatives about him even know what's happened, because I still believe he was a terrible person. His views were incredibly racist, homophobic, transphobic, all of it, because he was also a believer of like the white replacement theory. So he also believed that white people were being replaced by black people. And again, like Trump as well, who he was very close with, they just fueled this political anger, and it's just been bubbling up and up. And now this has happened. And even though I think he was a terrible person and I did not agree on anything that he ever said or stood for, I do not believe that political violence is the answer. And I do not think that this is going to solve anything. And if anything, I think this is going to make it 100 times worse.
Yeah.
We don't even know who the suspect is or what the motives are, but it's already being used to attack the left and blame the left. And they've already said it was a trans person when there's absolutely no evidence. And it's just, it's not solved anything.
There was I saw something in the news last night. There was talk that they found ammunition that had engraving on it of anti-fascist and trans
the TRN
material. So there's already suggestions out there or that it's going to be linked to that. But as far as I'm concerned, there's no evidence of that. And like you say, it's already being politicized. Even though it probably is a political assassination of some description. But as you say, it's already being politicized to attack the left. To suggest that it's the left that have done this, and that the left aren't as tolerant as they make out, which I would disagree with that statement unless there's evidence to prove otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning the thing that you just mentioned about the scratching on the bullets, like the I think it's TRN on there. It's actually a manufacturing mark, because I've seen it.
Right.
And there's manufacturers have initials and logos and things on the bullets to identify who made them, and it's TRN. Yeah. So it's a bit of a stretch, but anybody would have said anybody within the FBI would know this. He seems to be hiring people that are podcasters and stuff, so they probably don't really know. But I've seen a lot of people on the left that are actively celebrating it, saying that they want it to happen to other people next. And I just don't get that. I just don't think that makes us any better than them, because even though he's not at my cup of tea, he has a family, a wife and children, and apparently they were there. So it's possible now that his two young children have just seen their father be brutally murdered, because I saw that video, and that video was not pleasant viewing. And if you were there and you saw that, and that's your dad or your husband, that is something that you are never going to recover from that. And
Mm.
these people that are celebrating it, they've had a go at me because I said that it's not the answer and we shouldn't be celebrating it. They've had a go at me saying that because he was a horrible person, we should. And the way I see it is, when the two American lawmakers that were left leaning were assassinated about a month ago, they were saying that it's not the answer, this is a disgrace. So you can't have it both ways. If you're against gun violence, you need to be against gun violence no matter who it harms. You can't say I'm against gun violence when it attacks the left, but when they kill the right leaning people, that's fine.
It's
Because
basically hypocrisy, isn't it?
yeah,
It's
because it
it's
doesn't solve anything. It hasn't solved anything. And I just don't, because now if it does turn out that it is somebody who's left leaning or whatever, not that they will believe it if it comes out that it isn't, there's probably going to be retaliation, because I think yesterday they actually had to put out an alert at Congress, or the DNC, because there was something happening that could have been linked, like a retaliation. Now, there's probably is going to be something happens that is a retaliation. And then when that happens, if it does, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does and a left leaning person gets assassinated, you can't have a comment on it then, because you've just said it's okay to kill people as long as you don't agree with them. Because
mm,
a lot of these far right people are completely brainwashed, and they think that the left leaning politicians are just as extreme as how we view people like Charlie Kirk was.
mm,
So in their minds, some people on the left in government are just as bad to them as Charlie Kirk was to us. So they're going to try and assassinate them for the same thought processes. And
mm,
you've basically saying that, yeah, that's fine, then you can go and shoot these people because you think they are not good for the world. And
mm.
it never ends, because then if that happens, then someone's going to try and retaliate to the right for that, and then they're going to do it back, and it's just an endless cycle. So I just think if you're against gun violence, you need to be against gun violence completely. You can't pick and choose when it applies. You need to say, I'm against gun violence, no matter who it is, no matter how horrible they are. You need to be against it, not pick and choose which parts apply and who shields from it and not.
Yeah, and just to sort of go on, something you mentioned a few minutes ago around the TRN, the markings on the bullets. Obviously, the news was shared about the possible markings linking to anti-fascist trans groups, um, and I think obviously the clarity that you've provided there, it just goes to show that that sort of misinformation can go out there, and immediately, because that misinformation's out there, and because it's speculation, there's nothing factual about it, because it's speculation, that's when things can get out of control, because you'll then have groups on the right that will be saying it's the left that have done this, and it's almost like it justifies retaliation for them. Like you said, there's that risk that there's going to be some kind of retaliation, and that's why it's important. And I think the media should take some responsibility as well. Yes, they want to throw out articles, they want to throw out bits of news, bits of breaking news, of new bits of information they get, and then they verify that information, say yes, this has been found, but without it being looked into properly to establish the facts behind it. Is it a marking of this group? Is it a marking because that's what's been engraved on the bullets because it's by the manufacturer? We just don't know. Um, and that's why I say I think the media should have some and should bear some responsibility of things they report on, how soon, how quickly they report on things. But the trouble is, I think they're all they're all out there trying to be the first to get the breaking news out there. So as soon as they verify some information that's been found or whatever, they want to be the first ones to put that bit of information out there and say that's what that is, and we're going to report on that. Um, but going on about things that Charlie Kirk stood for, I mean, he, as we've said, he thought that gay people should be stoned to death. He was against civil rights. He was against equal marriage. He thought that some gun deaths were worth it to maintain the Second Amendment. And as you've said, violence is not the answer to any of this. And gun control in America, I think it's safe to say, and we've always said this, should be a hell of a lot tighter than it is, a hell of a lot tighter, because people can get guns quite easily out there, and things like this can happen. And as you said, and I agree with you, I don't condone any of his views. I don't support any of his views. I don't agree with anything that he said, anything he feels towards minority communities. His views were abhorrent. I absolutely condemn them, and I agree. I don't think that this is the answer, because if it is someone on the left that has done this, then it's just the kind of weaponization the Kirk supporters will want to justify hating on the left even more, and hating on the very people that he attacked with his views.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth mentioning that I think the day after there was a school shooting, that's barely been mentioned by any of these right-wing people. I've seen some of the posts by some of these right-wingers, like Laura Loomer and the senators, like the Republican senators, and the far-right podcasters, and they are using this immediately for the complete extreme. Like, they are saying they need to classify the Democratic Party as terrorists. They need to arrest every Democrat and lock them up. And this is what they're doing. They're using it for the extreme. They never seem to mention when it's children being shot, or when these two Democratic lawmakers were shot. A lot of them actually celebrated it and laughed at this happening. But I also think it's important to note that our lawmakers, like our Prime Minister and a lot of his cabinet, are obviously sending their condolences to his family, which is understandable, but they're praising him. They're almost presenting him as this amazing person that really put good into the world. And I think it's important that we can still say he wasn't a good person. He spread a lot of hate. And I don't think our Prime Minister and things should be commenting on this when he doesn't comment on when it's these two Democratic governors that were killed, or he doesn't comment on the school shootings, but he did choose to do it with this person, which I find a bit strange, and I don't understand why. But I just think that we can still say what kind of person he was, but also say the thoughts are with the family, because you can have empathy, even though he said that he doesn't believe in empathy. But one of the lines he said, and I'm not quoting directly, I think he did say to somebody that in order to have guns and protect the Second Amendment, mass shootings and people being shot and dying are a consequence of that. So it's a necessity to have that in order to have freedom of guns. So he's kind of become a statistic in his own comments.
Yeah, it's because because I think the moment before he was shot, he was being asked about people responsible for shootings. There's a sense of morbid irony in that. That he's the moment he's shot, he's talking about shootings. And I
And
think he was
trans
asked
people.
this. Yeah, this is just what I was going to say. He was asked about how many trans people have been responsible for shootings, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the answer was about six.
I think he said too many.
Did he
That
say
was
too
his
many?
answer. He said too many, and then they said, how many are there that, like, in general? And then he tried to divert it, like gang
Yeah,
related or whatever. So he's,
gang related or non-gang related, and then he was shot.
yeah,
Um, so it is. It's almost like he was put in a position of he was being asked a question that he couldn't quite answer properly, because if you compare the number of people responsible for the shootings in America, like mass shootings in America, it's predominantly white heterosexual men.
it's usually white evangelical people, like very
Mm,
like the man that killed the two Democratic lawmakers. I believe he was an evangelical Christian pastor. So he's actually someone who was like he was. I don't know if he was at the time, but he was at some point like running a church.
mm,
And that's supposed to be like that's the problem with America. There's a lot of religious fanatics, and then there's gun fanatics because there's more guns in America than people, which terrifies me. I can't even imagine that here. Like I can have a disagreement with someone here, and I'm not worried about them coming to my door and shooting me.
I think
But
didn't someone recently make it? Wasn't there? I'm guess I've read somewhere recently there is someone that is calling for, wasn't it? Farage was calling for more people to have the right to have handguns in the UK.
yeah, and I do not understand how anyone can imagine that that would be a good idea.
It'd be an awful idea. It'd be absolutely devastating, potentially putting more guns on the streets of the UK when we don't want them on the streets.
Exactly. I don't want to have the worry that someone could just shoot me. But they always say there's loads of stabbings in the UK. Yes, but when someone pulls a knife on you, you have the option to run away.
Mm.
Um, and then you've got a chance of if you can outrun them, you're all right. But with a gun, you can't. You can try
Mm.
and run away, but they can get you from the quite a especially when they have these submachine guns, which are literally designed for war.
Mm.
They can just shoot hundreds of bullets and in an instant, and you can't get away.
Yeah,
And the problem with America is I don't see them ever changing. Even now, someone on their side has had this really horrific thing happen. I don't see them changing the gun laws. They just keep putting kids that have to have backpacks with bulletproof plates in them. They have these special door jams. They have these walls that you pull out that are bulletproof. And I'm just like, you're doing all this, and kids have to have these gun drills and things rather than just tackle the actual problem because the biggest killer of children in America is guns.
mm.
And I don't think it's ever going to change there because they're so ingrained. But they just don't seem to grasp that when this amendment was made, it was the time when you had guns that you had to. It took you about 5 minutes to reload it after each shot. Nowadays, you can have weapons
Barely
of
takes a
war,
second, and it barely takes a
and
second to reload.
yeah, it wasn't designed for what you have now.
Mm.
And Trump, I think it's worth noting as well that they say it's not guns that kill people; it's the people mentally ill. But Trump has actually stripped back millions and millions of dollars worth of funding for mental health services. I believe he also got rid of a bill or something that restricted people with mental health conditions from getting guns. So they're doing the opposite to what they say is the problem.
Mm.
So it's
This
just,
is this
I
this is the
just
thing,
think it's
isn't it?
going to get
It's
worse.
tackle the problem at its core. Make guns so much harder to access. Don't make them so readily or easily available. Have a lot more stringent rules and regulations like we do in the UK around gun ownership, and be licensed to do so. But yeah, it's interesting how an incident like this can sort of make all these bring all this conversation out around this topic. It's now time for Josh to be a moany old bitch. It's the complaints closet.
Yeah, it's now time for Nigel to do the exact same bloody sentence.
You love it. You love being called a moany old bitch. You love being a moany old bitch because when you get going, or when you get going on this, you get going, and there is no stopping you to the point where someone else can moan about something, and then you'll hijack that and continue the moan. It's brilliant.
There's a difference between enjoying being one and being called one. Thank you very much. Anyway, you can go first this time.
Oh, thank you very much. So what am I moaning about this week?
I don't know, you gotta tell me.
This week, I am going to have a moan about a certain streaming service. Now, they did this a while ago, but since I've been watching it a bit more recently, they've introduced ads into their shows. So basically, pop-up ads in shows on streaming services that you're already paying an extortionate amount for. And I'm just sick and tired of trying to watch things, and then suddenly this ad just pops up, and it's about something that just completely throws you off, and you can be getting it to a good bit of the show, or the episode, or the movie, or whatever it is you're watching, and this fucking ad pops up for, I don't know, pile cream or something like that. And it's like, why do I want to see that? Why do I want something like that to come up whilst I'm watching a really nice show or a really nice movie? I just hate it. And the only way to get rid of those ads is to pay an extra £2.50, something, £2.99 extra a month, on top of what you're already paying. Nearly £100 already for the year, and you're having to pay extra just to get rid of ads.
And what service is this?
I'm not going to name it.
Because just for the record,
I think people can.
Everybody can guess, and you buy things on that, and your ads may be related to your shopping purchases. Just saying.
You set me off now.
You shot yourself in the foot with that one, Nigel.
No.
Everyone knows what's in your shopping cart now.
No, because I used that as an example, not because that's actually happened, but because it was just something just to be entertaining.
I will say, like, when you're not here, we usually watch shows, and then we'll press play at the same time, so we can kind of watch together. And with this service, you'll get an ad that's like 10 seconds long, and then I'll get an ad at the same time. It's 2 minutes long every time. So I'm being like punished for more than you, and then we're completely out of sync. You start saying things that happened 2 minutes ago, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's spoiled. or we have to keep pausing it and then replaying it, and honestly,
it's just frustrating. You pay an extortionate amount for the service, and why not just introduce a cheaper rate for people to pay, and then you just have the ads in it,
like Netflix.
Just introduce a cheaper rate rather than just add that in. I mean, they've already upped the price of it annually, and then they want to add the extra £2.99, £3, whatever, a month on top. So that's you're looking at an extra £30 odd a year on top, when why not just make that the premium service and then the ad-free one or the ad one a cheaper service? It's just frustrating. It just really annoys me. It's and it's like when you get companies that re-release something that they've already had out, but a slightly better version, but it's not really changed. It just might be a bit better quality, and they charge you, it's to the point where you almost feel like you've got to buy it again, and you've already got it, like with games and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, the bare minimum of an upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What are you moaning about this week, Josh?
Right, I'm trying to decide again. While she was waffling, I still couldn't decide, so I'm just gonna have to just pick one at random.
Well, I'll tell you
So
why you probably couldn't decide because you part way through that hijacked my complaint again.
I didn't. I added to it. Well, right.
Hijacked. Anyway, go
Behave you.
on.
So I'm going to complain about something that bothers me all the time, and I bet people also experience this. You know, when you buy food that's packaged and it has those little plastic films on the top, and then the little tab bit that you peel it, yeah. Every time, it doesn't matter how slow and careful you are, you pull that tab and it removes all of the plastic from the edge of the entire thing, but not the actual plastic covering the item inside. Every time. It doesn't matter what I'm opening. If I peel it, the tab comes off and it strips all the film around the whole edge of the product, but it's still sealed. So then you have to cut it open anyway. Every time. I don't think I've even had one that I've been able to open.
Just defeats the object.
Yeah, I don't understand what that little tab's for. Just
To be fair, I've seen you doing this and trying to open it, and the frustration and the anger, the moans that you're putting out right now are the exact things that come out of your mouth
so
when it actually
now
happens to you.
so now I'll just skip that step and just stab it because I know it's not going to work. It does it everything. Even when I'm opening in fact, it's the same with Amazon boxes. You know, and they have that little strip that you pull and it tears. That don't work either because you get halfway and then it breaks off. So then you have to
Or
go to the other
sometimes,
side.
or sometimes there isn't the little plastic bit behind it. It's missing for some reason, and you pull
Yeah.
the tab, and it's like, well, that worked.
So these packaging things that are supposed to help you open the packaging, hate them. Drive me insane. It's the same with milk tops when you try and peel that foil thing off. Not that I drink milk, but when I open it for Ash, when I try and peel the milk, the little silver tab thing just snaps off. So then I'm just stuck with this sealed thing that I have to stab again.
I think you're just too violent with food packaging.
Maybe my brain just wants me to stab things. So it's just like, just stab the packaging.
And for anyone else listening out there, please send help.
But I bet you other
I
people have
think I'm
this
going to
issue
need
as
it.
well. I bet you there's other people that have this issue. You try and open something. It always happens as well with Ash's bacon. They're the worst. Trying to open a pack of bacon is the worst. Never works. The little tabs do not work.
Maybe it's telling you it doesn't want to be opened. Maybe it's just happy chilling there in the fridge, in the packet.
Was that
It's
was
like,
that supposed to be a joke?
no.
Chilling. That sounded like one. That did sound like
just,
one of your dad jokes.
I just, I just realised, no, that wasn't a joke.
But yeah,
But
I've had
thanks for
enough. I've had enough
thanks for
of
making it a joke.
packaging. I've had enough of packaging that is supposed to be designed to easily open, and then the design they've put on to open it fails immediately and doesn't work.
It's like when they put on their easy open packaging. Lies.
In fact, the other day I tried to open a tin of beans and I pulled the tab back and it just snapped off. So I was like, why did this happen? And it did it to a can of Monster the other day. I tried to open that and the little cap snapped off.
Did you stab at the cans,
Am I
or did
just
you
too
just use a can
strong?
opener?
Am
I
I
think
just
I
stronger
think you're
than I
stronger
think?
than I think you're stronger than you realise.
Well, with the can of Monster, I had to use the back end of a knife and kind of like whack down on it till it opened.
So when you say the back end of the knife, you mean the handle.
Yeah. Well, people can work out what I mean by that, don't they? But and with the tin of beans,
As
I
you were
had to try
holding the knife end.
with the tin of beans, I had to try and locate a tin opener that who the hell uses one of those nowadays? Everything's got a pull tab on it. So I had to try and find one of those. It was like using ancient technology. And then I could barely use that because the can cap had bent a bit. It had opened a tiny bit before it snapped off, so it couldn't go all the way around. So I had to finish it off by stabbing it. So I think it's just packaging in general. Things that make packaging easier to open don't. They make it's just more difficult.
And if you are going to produce something that's going to make it easy to open a package, make sure it fucking works.
Yes, I agree.
And that is all we got time for this week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening in. We hope that you've enjoyed the show as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Have you had a good time, Josh?
Yeah, it's been quite an intense one this time. I'm gonna
You
go and
love
have a lie
intense.
down now. I'm gonna go and have a hot chocolate made in my bed.
Don't have a
Hashtag
lot.
not sponsored.
Don't have a lie down whilst drinking your hot chocolate. It will just go everywhere. I made that
Not with-
mistake I made that mistake when I was younger once. I was laying down and I just thought, oh, I'll have a drink of this, laying down, and it just went everywhere.
And
My
that
mother was
says
not.
that,
My
and that
mother was
says a
not
bit
best
more about
pleased.
that says a bit more about your IQ back then than it does about anything
Well, I was a
else.
kid. I was a kid. What do you expect? Anyway, that is all for this week. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay safe and be happy.